Hello everybody! As the first weekend of the World War II beta comes to a close, it now seems like a good time to collect the thoughts I've had playing it and make this casual review of the game so far. What did I think about the beta and how do I feel about the game now? I've gotten plenty of playtime in, both on and off stream. Of course, I've given a fair amount of my opinions and thoughts in those couple live streams I did, maybe a comp part of one of those, in which case, some of the stuff I talk about here may sound like a repeat, but I don't think anyone wants to dig through hours of live stream to see what I think about the game. Well, overall, my opinion of the game hasn't changed much whatsoever from before the beta. Somebody asked me if it was better than I thought. And, well, no, not that that's a bad thing, but it plays like I thought it would play from the gameplay I watched. It plays like a Call of Duty game, big surprise there. It's been a fun weekend though. The highlight for me was getting to stream and interact with people, that's always a pleasure. And when we had a full team destroying people in war mode, that was a ton of fun. But there isn't much to say about the gameplay, really. It's Call of Duty. It's smooth, but it's more of the same. The time to kill feels nice, definitely slower since I'm coming out of Modern Warfare Remastered, so it's not ridiculously melty unless you're getting high caliber headshotted. You can get shot first and still win a gunfight. It's kind of a dumb, lazy criticism when people say this game is copying Battlefield, except with different gameplay and small maps and no vehicles. Okay, great, you're just describing Call of Duty then. Really, dude, they copied Battlefield just because you think this World War II game has a similar look? By the way, World War II was a different time period than World War I, in case you were unaware. You can find tons of elements in every game and then find a different game that did it first, absolutely, and there are plenty of things in CoD World War II that are not original ideas, but in general, Call of Duty copies Call of Duty. That's what Call of Duty always does. They ditched the jetpacks because the development cycle finally caught up to the anti-future feedback. There are some new modes like war and some new ideas like the headquarters and social stuff, and a different take on create a class and the perk system, simplifying it down, and it has a World War II skin, essentially, on top of all that. Like, you could take all the weapon stats and the modes like war, and all the maps, and apply a modern or futuristic skin to it, and it would work. It would play the exact same way. I like the World War II theme, it definitely adds to the experience for me, but to pretend like the game going back to World War II is revolutionary on its own is a bit silly, I think, unless it's the campaign you're most looking forward to. But I get that the theme goes a long way. If this exact same game with the same mechanics was set in the future, people would despise it. Anyway, I enjoy the gameplay, and the weapon balance will all be tweaked before launch. Say goodbye to whatever seems OP now. I know they've already made some changes like only giving you one Molotov, which I find odd. They weren't that strong. I think they should make the other streaks better instead. And they did decide to make the incendiary shells not loaded by default. I know a lot of people wanted that, so I'm probably in the wrong here, but I'm in the minority who didn't really care. Maybe it's because I mostly played war mode and not things like TDM where they were more prevalent, but I never had an issue with the fire shells. Whenever I used them, it seemed like a big fireworks show. I rarely got a kill with the burning. I either killed them with the initial shot or I didn't. If you want to nerf it more, I don't think you have to, but that's fine with me, whatever. But making it so that the incendiary shells have to be manually loaded in on every respawn, that just sounds like a dumb way to balance it to me. You're still going to want to use them every time you spawn in. You might as well. They're not that much of an advantage. You won't be on an 8 kill streak and think, alright, now's the time that I need that little bit of extra damage, and you load them in tactically. No, there's no point in saving them strategically. You just have to waste some time now on every respawn. There's nothing fun about that. It's like swapping to the BR9 and back on every spawn in MWR just to be ready to pull it out later. I think if you're limiting yourself to expeditionary and a shotgun, you're already at a disadvantage. I don't think the shotguns, even with the fire shells, are in any way OP when you could just pick up one of the good rifles with infantry. But yeah, I seem to be in the minority on that one. I could be wrong. People seem to not like getting killed by the shotguns. But the gameplay all feels good to me. As I said, it is smooth, but it is more of the same. It's a no jetpack Call of Duty. What else is there to say? That part hasn't changed a whole lot because it doesn't need to. Now, I could just sit here and list off some minor comments, and just so you know, I have been using the Activision links and surveys to provide feedback. I'm not just saying this stuff here where it'll never have any hope of changing something. Like, I think when you use your grenade, it should disappear from your HUD, not just become 50% transparent, because it's difficult to tell if you've used it or not at a glance. And I don't get why they restricted score streaks completely in war mode, and then threw flamethrower care packages to the defenders. It's already easier to defend, especially on that map. Like, pushing the tank that last 5% can be a nightmare if the other team is competent, but there's nothing fun about getting lit up by a flamethrower when you know the guy didn't even earn it. He didn't go on a kill streak for that, he just wandered over to a free crate. What's the deal with that? There's no skill involved whatsoever. Now maybe this is a non-point, but obviously the party system is pretty horrible trying to find it in that tab hidden away, but I'm pretty sure that entire menu is temporary. I think they'll be using headquarters for a lot more of the social features of the game. Now the footsteps need work, I think. It's weird, some people people agree it's a problem, while some people say they can sound whore no problem. I could almost never hear enemies coming. Maybe I was spoiled by MWR sound whoring, but I think that's the way it should be. It seems like friendly footsteps and noises, and even your own breathing when you run too much, are infinitely easier to hear than anything from the enemy, although I do sometimes hear a ridiculously loud call-out from an enemy and know exactly where they are, and that's fun. I enjoy those. Overall, I love the sound fidelity and all the effects when you get mowed down by a machine gun, the explosions, the shrieks and cries of war. I think the sounds were well done from an immersion standpoint, and I love how a map can get pretty quiet when nothing's happening. They didn't go overboard on background noise. I would just appreciate some better sound whoring. I'm liking the soundtrack too, nice and epic, especially that first main menu theme when you load up the beta. It's kinda generic, I guess, but I was looking forward to using that for the outro the first time I heard it. I've been listening to it on repeat for most of the weekend. It's funny how a good OST can do a lot for me liking a game. That one theme suddenly makes me feel a weird sense of pride to be a part of this community when I used to just see negativity and clickbait everywhere. Well, there's a bunch of minor complaints and comments I think are mostly irrelevant. I guess I'll move on to my biggest gripe, which is the maps. They're okay. I don't absolutely despise them, but I'm not a big fan of the super formulaic 3-lane map thing, and not everyone will agree with me on that. I also realize we only have a handful of the maps right now, but I feel like we're probably going to end up getting more of the same in the full game. Where are the complex and unique map shapes? Where are the open spaces? They often talk about designing a lane to be more suited to assault rifles or to snipers, but it's never truly open. It's just another lane where there isn't as much cover. Snipers clearly have a use in the war mode, like in that bridge section, but in the regular maps we have right now, obviously a good sniper can do very well, but I can't think of a place where the sniper class really excels. If you played some older CoD games, you should have an idea of how open some of the maps used to be, and there were tunnels and buildings where SMGs could excel, but you could also climb big towers that overlooked huge areas of the map. It felt like a real location we were fighting in, and we could discover advantageous positions and cool lines of sight that good players would know about, not like another copy-pasted 3-lane competitive map where every line of sight has already been considered and balanced. Many modern CoD games have been so strictly adhering to this 3-lane philosophy. I remember several years in a row it got stale, and then the Modern Warfare Remastered maps were such a breath of fresh air. The maps were the biggest part of why I was happy to go back to that game, and now it's right back to the tiny 3-lane thing, and every map starts to feel the same. It's all claustrophobic as it funnels you towards your next head-on-head gunfight. It's fine to have some maps like this, have them be balanced, symmetrical, 3-lane competitive things, but have a couple more open and sprawling maps too. You can do so much with the World War II setting that isn't a tiny 3-lane thing confined by walls everywhere. Well, again, there are many more maps that we have yet to see, and I know some of them will probably be more open than what we have now, but I doubt they're gonna be as large as I'd like to see. Just a hunch. Who cares about the regular maps though? I'm much more excited to try out the other maps and objectives for war mode. I hope they have a decent amount of them. Like, I would love if they had 5 or something. It might just be around 3. Or imagine if they actually only have the one war map. That would be a mistake, I think. Like, they're expecting people to not care about it very much. I think they should be making war mode a big focus of the game. But sometimes with the way they describe the mode and interviews and stuff, I might have missed something, but it sounds like it could actually be the case. They only ever talk about the one map as if that map is the entirety of war mode. If that's the case, come on, quickly make another one before launch. You have a couple months. But to transition to that positive, I love the potential war mode has. It is what piqued my interest the most when they were first talking about the game, because all the other stuff they hype up, like the divisions and the headquarters that they say will revolutionize the game, I feel like I can kinda see through that hype. That all ends up becoming second nature within the first few weeks of the game, and really doesn't end up changing how you play very much. But war mode definitely changes how I play. It's a great addition, I think. It's something I want to play with a team. It makes winning a public CoD match fun, because the way I'm used to playing CoD is grinding challenges. I'll help out the team, I hop on flags, but I'm there for the challenges. I really don't care if we win or lose the domination game. With war mode, you're damn right I'm on that objective. It's fun to win war mode. I like coming up with strategies to be better at winning war mode, and I look forward to what else will be available there and where they'll take it, also with DLC. If they give us 4 regular maps in those packs, I'm gonna be disappointed, that's for sure. Maybe the last thing I'll mention is the challenge system as a major factor that will influence my opinion of the game. Obviously, we know very little from the beta. Challenges do pop up for weapons and divisions and kill streaks and all that, but being a beta, there's no point in challenges or camos yet. Well, you all know that challenges are very important important to me, and I just have to hope they'll do it well. Now, as I commented in a stream, Sledgehammer was the studio that brought us shoot down 5 UAVs and 3 paladins with the Maz and Mayhem launchers. What fresh hell was that? But hopefully they won't be as out of touch with the challenges this time around, and will show they actually put some thought into designing and testing them, because there's a decent group of people who enjoy playing for the challenges. But already I'm finding it enjoyable to max out my division skills and weapon levels, even though my beta progress doesn't count for anything and will surely be wiped. So that's a good sign, I guess. I can already imagine all the challenges for building and destroying those walls and turrets in war mode, and completing objectives, and of course the headshots and all the medals to earn. Something we also discussed live was the camos and what the master camo would be, the exclusion zone or dark matter equivalent. I'm hoping for a very gritty and battered gold camo to be the best camo in the game. No royalty diamond encrusted thing, and certainly no animated thing. We were promised no animated camos in multiplayer. We'll see how that works out. If it ever happens, I have this tweet saved on my desktop for some fun. But there will be plenty to do. Just please put some time into designing the challenge system to make it balanced and fun, and if something is clearly too unreasonable to complete, quickly correct it in a patch before too many people pull their hair out trying to go for it. So what's the verdict? Should you buy this game? Well, it's Call of Duty. No big surprises here. It seems like every comment I see about the beta is either super anti-CoD and says the game is complete garbage, Sledgehammer sucks, how is this trash franchise still alive, or is super in love with it and rushes to defend it. It's a miracle game, it saved the franchise. But guys, it's neither. It's just a CoD game, really. If you think CoD gameplay is dull, if you think the maps are uninspired 3-lane prisons, if you're sick of CoD and all the supply drop drama and don't care about grinding the camos and gear, then it isn't for you. And that's understandable. I'm not a big fan of the map design myself, of course, and while I've already accepted all the supply drop stuff that's gonna happen, I do fear the annoying drama that will come out of it when some YouTubers drum up a big show about it as if they didn't see it coming. But I do think the gameplay is solid, such that I will enjoy the challenge hunting and camo grinding aspect of the game. Just like with Modern Warfare, the gameplay was enjoyable, so I enjoyed the grind, and when I reached the end of the challenges, I kinda got bored, because solid gameplay alone doesn't really hold my interest, unless it's a more competitive environment, like War with the Team or their ranked mode. In the case of Infinite Warfare, well, I didn't like the gameplay, so I wasn't interested in the challenges. With World War II, though, the gameplay is there, so I think the completionist in me will be very happy if they do the challenges right, make them difficult but achievable with a fun 100%er goal, something satisfying. And it sounds like they're putting a lot of emphasis on the social features and the customization unlocks in the headquarters and all that. And I could even enjoy supply drops when they're done right. Yeah, cosmetic only is the dream, but that isn't happening. That'll change shortly after launch. But they just need to keep the beneficial items out of their ranked mode, and have a way to unlock everything guaranteed with a crafting system or a challenge system. Have those two things, and it's acceptable to me. The Modern Warfare Remastered crafting system was fine. It's funny that most people say they're okay with challenges to unlock new weapons, but hate the drops. Well, what if the challenge to unlock a new weapon was to play 100 games of TDM? Is that better or worse than the supply drops in your mind? Because that's basically the way it already is to get all the parts you need to unlock it manually. As I've explained, I didn't like the MWR weapons because it was messing with the CoD 4 remaster that already cost extra. It seemed greedy and deceitful. The system itself wasn't that flawed if the earn rate is kept reasonable. If they have the MWR system in World War II, I really wouldn't mind, so long as an active player can unlock all the new stuff consistently without paying or praying for RNG. I don't mind them adding their new weapons and variants in pubs. So there's that. Now looking past the regular multiplayer, of course, to what the rest of the game will offer, maybe they make a promising ranked play mode for the first time in a while. If they make the ranked play rule set the exact same as what the pros are playing and keep the stat-changing loot out of it, that could be fun. If they make it rewarding to play and win and climb the ladder, I like the idea of getting into that, even if it's to laugh at how bad I really am. Then there's the zombies, which could be fun. The campaign, which should be at least decent. We've only seen a little shard of the multiplayer. There's a lot more to this game content-wise to justify buying it, if, the big if right here, if you are still interested in what Call of Duty is. Because that's what this is. Not a miracle game, it's just another Call of Duty. And if you've played any previous COD games, you should know what you're getting here. That's all it comes down to. They've got some cool new stuff to explore, but I don't think World War II is shockingly revolutionary. Don't expect this to be the COD game that fixes everything and does everything right, but it's looking to be a solid entry in the franchise. Those are my thoughts on the game so far. It hasn't changed much from before playing the beta. Now I just have a better feel for how it plays. But let me know what you think about it, whether you you've been trying it out on PS4 this weekend, or are still one of many looking forward to trying it out next weekend on Xbox or PC, you probably have an opinion on the game. There are no wrong opinions, just some people who are sick of what CoD has to offer, and some who aren't. But thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.